Rwanda is 68,000 kilometres from the UK. It's a beautiful country known as the land of the thousand hills. But 18 years ago, the most terrible genocide happened. 1 million people killed in 100 days, families torn apart forever, and over 800,000 children orphaned and left alone in the world. Today, the number of orphans keeps increasing through poverty and death of parents through AIDS. There are hundreds of thousands of child-headed households and hundreds of thousands of children living on the streets. It is difficult to imagine what it must be like to be a child in Rwanda. When you think that collecting water and working in the fields is more important to their survival than going to school. Thousands of children are growing up in institutions like orphanages, either orphans or they've been abandoned and left there due to poverty. The Knoll is the largest orphanage in Rwanda. It has over 600 children living there. Many children are taken to the Knoll as babies, often left at the gates anonymously. And this is where these children will grow up, where they will spend their childhood, just living with the basic needs attended to, and not much else. And then eventually, when they reach 18, they're expected to leave and go into the wide world on their own. It's incredibly tough living in an orphanage that receives little funding and with so many children. Food is always scarce, and milk powder too for the babies. 1 meal a day is not enough to feed these children as they grow up. And living in an orphanage means sharing. Everything is shared. You have to share. You have to share your shoes, and sometimes it's potluck which ones you get. And clothes are shared. You never get to wear your own clothes. And sheets and blankets get worn out very easily, with 600 children using them. If you're lucky, you get to go to school, which again is very basic. Chalkboards instead of paper. And if you don't go to school, you have to entertain yourself somehow. Often your playground is surrounded by open sewage pits. It's not ideal. And there's very little privacy in an orphanage of 600 children. Lack of mains water means hygiene and sanitation is very poor. This is where you're expected to go to the toilet. And often all you've got to wash in is the dirty slop water. Lack of beds and bed space means the younger children are often crammed together in bunk beds, and the older children's dormitories are full of makeshift, rickety old beds. And this is home. It's almost impossible to imagine what it's like to be an orphan, alone in an orphanage, growing up without a family, and looking to the future with little hope in your eyes. However, it's much easier to imagine what it must feel like to have your environment improved, to have buildings restored to being more livable, kitchens made better so that food cooking is more efficient, and food supplies that come regularly so that you're no longer starving and can get 3 meals a day, and somewhere to sit and eat properly. Regular milk formula for the babies, and fresh milk for the little ones. Just imagine how it must feel to see improvements suddenly happening in your environment. Cleaner, brighter nurseries, dormitories with proper sheets and mattresses and mosquito nets, a cosier, warmer feel in your dormitories, more beds being made so you don't have to share, and nets to protect you from mosquitoes, and blankets, nice new blankets to keep you warm. Imagine the simple pleasure of running water and clean sanitation, even having your own toothbrush to finally clean your teeth. Think how exciting it must be to see an old neglected room turned into a library, where you can play, make things, do arts and crafts, have fun, maybe learn, have a few lessons, and some computers where you can start to learn how to use them. Or maybe somebody is sponsoring you to go to school at last, or mentoring and advising you on how to get on in the world, or send you to university where maybe you can graduate to get a good job. How your life can be improved with regular medical supplies, or your life changed by the offer of medical expertise. Joy of learning a new sport. Or maybe how exciting it would be to actually have someone interested in your football and coach you and encourage you and form a team to which you belong. And even more exciting, someone builds you a sports pitch so you can play basketball and football and volleyball. But it's not just the big things that make a difference. Little things make a huge difference too. A friendship card, just for you, from someone far across the world, can bring the biggest pleasure. A proper gift, just for you, on Christmas Day, can bring a big smile. And even just owning a tennis ball, all to yourself and not having to share, can be the biggest excitement of all. Or a school bag to put your school books in. And having someone maybe to call mum or dad, or a volunteer who can give you a cuddle and have fun with you and make you laugh and play. It doesn't matter how old you are, whether you are young, a teenager or a young adult. When you live behind the gates of an orphanage, anybody that shows you a little love and a little care is something that makes your heart filled with happiness, and you will never forget.